The desperate signal. The attack came without warning. Nova Station hung like a gleaming diamond against the velvet backdrop of space, its solar arrays extended like delicate wings catching the light of the binary star system it orbited. Inside the station's command center, Captain Ilara Chen frowned at the sensor readings that scrolled across her display. "Something's not right," she muttered, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. "These energy signatures don't match any known vessels in our database." Lieutenant Marcus Webb, her second in command, leaned over her shoulder. "Could be a sensor malfunction. We're overdue for a maintenance cycle." "No," Ilara said, tapping the screen. "Look at this pattern. It's deliberate. Almost like." The station shuddered violently, throwing both officers to the floor as emergency alarms blared throughout the facility. "We're under attack," Webb shouted, scrambling to his feet. "All hands to battle stations." Ilara pulled herself up using the edge of the console, ignoring the blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. Through the command center's viewport, she watched in horror as sleek, obsidian ships appeared from what seemed like folded space itself. Their hulls absorbed light rather than reflected it, making them look like moving holes in reality. "Who are they?" Webb asked, his voice tight with fear. "I don't know," Ilara replied, "but they didn't come to talk." Another blast rocked the station, more powerful than the first. Status screens flashed red across the command center as systems began failing throughout Nova Station. "Hull breach in sectors 7 through 9, reported Communications Officer Patel, her fingers flying across her console. "Medical is overwhelmed with casualties. Engineering reports shield generators operating at 30% capacity and falling." Ilara's mind raced. Nova Station was primarily a research outpost with minimal defensive capabilities. The nearest Earth Defense Force vessel was at least 3 days away at maximum FTL. They wouldn't survive 3 hours at this rate. "Options," she demanded, looking around at her senior staff. The silence that followed told her everything she needed to know. "Captain," said Dr. Abernathy, the station's lead scientist who had rushed to the command center during the attack. "There might be something in my lab that could help us." All eyes turned to the disheveled scientist. "What are you talking about, Doctor?" Ilara asked. "The artifact we recovered from the ruins on Proxima Vi," he explained, his voice low. "We've been studying it for months. It appears to be some kind of communication device, possibly a beacon. Ancient, but remarkably advanced." Webb scoffed. "And you're just mentioning this now?" "We don't understand how it works," Abernathy admitted. "The energy signature is unlike anything we've ever seen. But in theory, it could amplify our distress signal beyond anything our current technology is capable of." Another explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered ominously before emergency power kicked in. "Shield generators failing," Patel announced grimly. 10 minutes until complete collapse." Ilara made her decision. "Doctor, get to your lab. Lieutenant Webb, go with him and help bring this device to the communications hub. Officer Patel, prepare to integrate this artifact with our communication array." "Captain," Webb protested, "this is completely untested alien technology. We have no idea what it might do." "We know exactly what happens if we do nothing," Ilara countered, gesturing toward the viewport where another volley of enemy fire streaked toward them. "We die. Every single person on this station dies. I'll take the unknown chance over certain death." Webb nodded grimly and followed Dr. Abernathy out of the command center. Ilara turned to Patel. "While they're getting the artifact, send our standard distress signal to Earth Command. Include all data we've gathered on the attacking ships. Even if we don't make it, maybe someone can make sense of why this happened." It took 7 precious minutes for Webb and Abernathy to return, carefully carrying between them what looked like a translucent crystalline structure about the size of a basketball. Its surface seemed to shift and flow like liquid despite being solid to the touch, and strange symbols etched into its core pulsed with a soft blue light. "The interface is simple enough," Abernathy explained as they connected the artifact to the station's communication array. At least, what we understand of it. It seems designed to receive input from various technologies, almost as if it was meant to be compatible across different species and technological development levels. The station shook again, more violently this time. Ilara steadied herself against a console. "Status," she demanded. "Shields at 5%. Webb reported. Multiple hull breaches. We've lost contact with decks 3 through 5. Ilara looked at the artifact, now glowing more intensely as it interfaced with their systems. "How do we activate it?" "In theory," Abernathy said, adjusting some final connections, "it should activate when it receives a strong enough input signal. Our emergency beacon should do the trick." "In theory," Webb muttered. Ilara ignored him and moved to the communication station. "This is Captain Ilara Chen of Earth Nova Station. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Our defenses have failed, and we have sustained heavy casualties. To any Allied vessels who can hear this message, we need immediate assistance." She paused, then added, "I'm also recording visual data of the attack and our attackers. If we don't survive, let this serve as a warning." With a nod to Patel, Ilara initiated the transmission. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crystalline artifact began to pulse, its glow intensifying until it was almost painful to look at directly. The symbols within its core rotated and rearranged themselves in patterns that seemed to follow some incomprehensible logic. "It's working," Abernathy whispered in awe. "The signal strength is impossible. It's amplifying our transmission far beyond what should be physically possible." On her console, Ilara watched as their distress call propagated outward at speeds that defied conventional physics. The artifact wasn't just boosting their signal, it was sending it through channels they had never detected before, pathways through space-time that human science had yet to discover. "Where is it going?" Webb asked, staring at the readings. "Everywhere," Abernathy replied, his voice filled with wonder. "It's reaching parts of the galaxy we've never even observed, let alone contacted." The attacking ships intensified their assault, as if sensing that something had changed. The station groaned under the barrage, systems failing across all decks. "Shields critical," Webb announced. 30 seconds to failure." Ilara stood tall, facing the viewport and the enemy vessels beyond. "Keep broadcasting until the end," she ordered. "Make sure they know who we were and what happened here." As Nova Station's defenses crumbled around them, none of the humans realized that their desperate cry for help had just triggered something unprecedented. A response mechanism embedded in the fabric of galactic politics that had laid dormant for millennia. Across the vast expanse of space, in systems humans had never dreamed existed, the signal propagated through ancient networks, awakening dormant protocols and alerting civilizations whose existence humanity had never suspected. The message jumped through subspace relays that predated human evolution, carrying with it images of the attack on Nova Station and the desperate courage of its defenders. In the crystalline chambers of the Zalvari Conclave, Supreme Arbiter Enthal stood motionless as the human transmission played on the massive viewing sphere. The Arbiter's iridescent scales shifted from calm blue to alarmed violet. "Replay the message," Enthal commanded, six-fingered hands clasped behind their back. Once again, Captain Chen's plea echoed through the chamber, the footage showing humans, a species the Zalvari had only observed from afar, fighting bravely against overwhelming odds. "Those ships," Enthal's second-in-command pointed at the attackers. "They bear Krelax markings." "The Krelax know the compact laws," Enthal replied, voice hard as stone. "No interference with developing worlds. No unprovoked aggression." They turned to their officers. "Alert the Guardian fleet. This violation cannot stand." Across the galaxy in the nebulous domains of the Myriad Collective, thousands of interconnected minds received the human SOS simultaneously. The floating luminous beings communicated in rapid pulses of light. The young ones are in danger. They show courage. They are but children on the cosmic scale. The signal reached us through the ancient network. This has not happened in 7,000 cycles. We must respond. In moments, the collective's decision was made. Massive living ships began detaching from their orbital habitats, preparing for the journey to an obscure system called Nova. Meanwhile, in the mechanical realm of the Forge Directive, artificial intelligences that had evolved beyond their creators analyzed the human transmission with cold precision. Tactical analysis complete, announced Prime Unit 7. The human station has approximately 18 minutes before defensive failure. The attacking force employs restricted class weapons against a pre-Council civilization. This constitutes a Class 1 violation. Determined, the consensus responded. Activation protocols are clear. Throughout the Forge worlds, ancient war machines that had not moved in centuries began powering up, their hulking frames rising from the dust. In the secretive chambers of the Quorum of 12, representatives of the galaxy's oldest species watched the human transmission in silence. The Quorum had been observing Earth for centuries, debating when, or if, to make contact. "It appears the decision has been made for us," said the eldest, a being so ancient that its true form was hidden beneath layers of life support technology. "The human station has inadvertently activated the emergency covenant." "How is that possible?" asked another member. "They shouldn't have the technology to access the network." "Yet they have," replied the eldest. "And the covenant is clear. All signatories must respond to a genuine distress call." "The humans know nothing of galactic politics," observed a third member. "They don't realize they've just summoned the most powerful armada ever assembled." Even in the militaristic territories of the Ursan Dominion, beings known for their fierce independence and territorial boundaries, the human message caused a stir. War Chief Garuk slammed his massive fist on the command table. "These Krellaks think they can hunt without permission," he growled. "They attack a world under protection protocols and expect no consequences." "The humans are not allies," his advisor noted cautiously. "No," Garuk agreed, displaying sharp teeth in what passed for a smile among his kind. "But they fight well for such soft creatures. And the Krellaks have insulted us all by violating the ancient boundaries." He stood to his full intimidating height. "Prepare the battle fleet." Across thousands of light years, in systems humans had never dreamed existed, advanced civilizations mobilized their forces. Ships of impossible designs using technologies Earth scientists couldn't comprehend began calculating jump coordinates for a small, unremarkable station in what most considered a backwater region of the galaxy. And in the void between stars, the Krellak's attack commander remained completely unaware that his simple mission to eliminate a potential future threat had just triggered the activation of the galaxy's most sacred and powerful defense pact. A storm was gathering, and Nova Station was at its center. The Galactic response. Commander Vexcor of the Krellak's assault force stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching with satisfaction as his ships systematically destroyed the human station's defenses. His gray, leathery skin stretched in what passed for a smile among his kind. "How much longer until their shields fail completely?" he asked his weapons officer. "Less than 2 minutes, Commander. Their technology is primitive." Vexcor nodded. The mission was proceeding exactly as planned. The Krellak's High Command had identified this human outpost as a potential threat, not for what it was now, but for what it might become. Their scouts had detected unusual energy signatures from this station, suggesting the humans had stumbled upon ancient technology they couldn't possibly understand. "Any response to our attack?" Vexcor asked his communications officer. "They sent a distress signal, but it will take days for any human reinforcements to arrive. By then, there will be nothing left to save." What the Krellaks didn't know was that across the galaxy, something unprecedented was happening. In the vast emptiness of space surrounding the Nova system, reality itself began to ripple and tear. Brilliant flashes of light erupted as massive vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their arrival bending the laws of physics. The first to arrive were the Zolvari ships, sleek crystalline vessels that seemed to be made of light itself. Supreme Arbiter Enthal stood at the command center of the flagship Eternal Justice, a vessel so large it could have housed the entire human station with room to spare. Status report, Enthal commanded. 17 Krelax warships detected in orbit around the station. The human defenses are failing. We estimate they have less than 2 minutes remaining. Enthal's scales rippled with determination. Deploy the fleet in formation Aegis. No Krelax vessel leaves this system. As the Zolvari ships moved into position, more arrivals tore through the fabric of space. The living ships of the Myriad Collective pulsed with biotic energy. The mechanical behemoths of the Forge Directive appeared, ancient weapons powering up. Even the predatory vessels of the Ursan Dominion, shaped like massive armored beasts, joined the gathering force. In less than 20 minutes, over 3,000 ships from 24 advanced civilizations had arrived, forming the largest combined fleet seen in the galaxy for 10 millennia. Meanwhile, on Nova Station, Captain Chen had not left the communications hub. The station's main shield was flickering, sections failing under the relentless Krelax bombardment. Through her equipment, Ilara monitored the increasingly desperate reports from the defense teams. East Quadrant shield down. We've lost contact with Deck 7. Medical reporting critical casualties. They're running out of supplies. Ilara felt helpless. Her distress call had gone out, but help from Earth would take days to arrive. The station wouldn't last another hour. Then her instruments began detecting something strange. Massive energy signatures appearing at the edge of the system. At first, she thought it was some new Krelax weapon, but the readings made no sense. Nothing in human technology could explain what she was seeing. Lieutenant, Ilara called over the emergency channel. I'm picking up unusual activity at the system's edge. Massive energy spikes unlike anything I've ever seen. Webb's voice came back strained. Hostile. I don't know. They're not approaching like the Krelax did. They're organizing. On the Krelax command ship, alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. The tactical officer's voice rose in panic. Commander, multiple vessels have appeared at the system's edge. Human reinforcements. Vex Corps asked dismissively. No, sir. These aren't human ships. The energy readings are impossible. The officer looked up, his face pale with fear. Sir, I'm counting over 3,000 vessels. Many of them are larger than our entire fleet combined. Vex Corps rushed to the view screen, his confidence evaporating as he saw what was approaching. He recognized the distinctive shapes of Zolvari vessels, the legendary peacekeepers who hadn't intervened in a conflict for generations. Behind them came ships from species that were little more than myths to the Krelax. How? He whispered. How did they know? The communications officer turned to him, horror evident in his eyes. Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It's from Supreme Arbiter Enthal of the Zolvari Conclave. As the message began to play, Vex Corps realized that what should have been a simple mission had just become a catastrophic mistake, one that had somehow united the galaxy's most powerful forces against them. Ilara Chen stared at her monitoring equipment in disbelief. The energy readings had stabilized, and now her scanner showed thousands of objects in formation at the edge of the Nova system. They were ships, massive vessels unlike anything humans had ever built. Lieutenant Webb, Ilara called over the emergency channel, her voice shaking. You need to see this. She transmitted the scanner data to various emergency command posts where Webb and the remaining station leadership had gathered for what they believed would be their final stand. What am I looking at, Captain? Webb asked, his voice heavy with exhaustion. At 42, the lieutenant had aged a decade in the past few hours as he watched his station, his home, being systematically destroyed. I don't know exactly, but they're ships, thousands of them, and they're not Krelax. Above the station, the situation changed dramatically. The Krelax vessels, which had been methodically bombarding the human settlement, suddenly broke formation. Their attack stopped as they scrambled to regroup in a defensive posture. Ilara's communications console lit up with an incoming transmission on a frequency she had never seen before. "Lieutenant, we're receiving a transmission. It's not using any Earth protocol I recognize, but somehow our system is translating it." "Put it through," Webb ordered. The view screen in both the communications hub and emergency command posts flickered to life, showing a being unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Supreme Arbiter Enthal's iridescent scales shimmered in the light of their command center, their distinctly non-human features somehow conveying both strength and compassion. "People of Nova Station," they spoke, their words perfectly translated. "I am Supreme Arbiter Enthal of the Zolvari Conclave. Your distress signal has been received, and we have come to render assistance. The attack against your station violates ancient laws of non-interference with developing civilizations. You are now under the protection of the Galactic Covenant." Silence fell across the station. Webb looked at his officers, their faces reflecting the same shock he felt. "This is Lieutenant Marcus Webb of Nova Station," he finally responded. We are grateful for your assistance. May I ask how you received our distress call? Earth outposts are days away at our fastest speeds." Enthal's expression shifted subtly. "Your captain activated an ancient emergency network that spans the galaxy. It appears to have been done unintentionally, but the signal was genuine, and so our response is required by laws older than your civilization." In the communications hub, Ilara felt her face flush. The artifact had done this. Through the hub's viewport, she could see the Krulak ships now surrounded by a formation of crystalline vessels that seemed to glow from within. More alien ships were appearing in view, some resembling living creatures, others geometric shapes that seemed to defy physics, and still others that looked like ancient metal fortresses. "The Krulak's forces have been contained," Enthal continued. "They will harm no more of your people. We request permission to send representatives to your station to establish formal contact and to assist with repairs and medical aid." Ilara exchanged a glance with Webb through the video link. They were way beyond standard first contact protocols now. "Permission granted, Supreme Arbiter," Ilara responded. "We'll prepare a receiving area in what's left of our main docking bay." As the transmission ended, the remaining functional areas of Nova Station erupted in confused celebration. People who moments before had believed they were about to die were now trying to process that not only would they live, but that humanity was not alone in the universe. Webb made his way through damaged corridors to join Ilara at the communications hub. When he arrived, she was still staring at the ancient artifact, which now pulsed gently with a soft, steady light. "Captain," he said quietly, "what did you do?" "I just used what we had," Ilara replied, gesturing at the artifact. "I had no idea that it could." She gestured helplessly at the viewport, now filled with alien vessels of all descriptions. Through the large display, they watched as a small shuttle detached from the Zolvari flagship. Its design was elegant, almost artistic, glowing softly as it descended toward Nova Station's damaged docking bay. "I should be there to meet them," Ilara said, straightening her dust-covered uniform. "You too, Webb. Whatever happened here brought them to us. We should both be part of this." As they walked toward the docking bay, Webb placed a hand on Ilara's shoulder. "You know what this means, don't you?" he asked quietly. "Everything changes today," she replied. "For this station, for Earth, for all of humanity. For better or worse?" Webb wondered. "We're about to find out," Ilara answered as the alien shuttle made its final approach to Nova Station. First contact was about to begin. The shuttle rested on Nova Station's docking bay, its surface shimmering like mother-of-pearl under the emergency lights. A small crowd had gathered, those station personnel who weren't injured or engaged in emergency repairs. They stood in hushed silence, barely breathing as the shuttle's entry portal dilated open. Supreme Arbiter Enthal emerged first, their tall, elegant form causing gasps among the humans. Behind them came representatives from 3 other species, a luminous floating being from the Myriad Collective, a precisely moving mechanical entity from the Forge Directive, and a massive armor-clad warrior of the Ursan Dominion. Captain Chen stepped forward, Lieutenant Webb at her side. "Welcome to Nova Station," Ilara said, her voice steady despite the extraordinary circumstances. "I am Captain Ilara Chen. This is Lieutenant Marcus Webb, my second in command." Enthal inclined their head in greeting. "We come in peace and with purpose. The attack on your station has triggered events not seen in this galaxy for thousands of your years." The luminous being pulsed gently as it spoke, its translated voice sounding like many voices speaking in perfect harmony. "Your signal activated the Ancient Covenant, a defense pact established by the galaxy's elder races. Any signatory civilization, attacked without provocation, may call upon all others for aid." "But we didn't know about any covenant," Ilara said, confused. "We're not signatories to anything." The mechanical being's eye sensors focused on Ilara. "The technology you integrated into your communication system was created by the precursors who established the covenant. By using their technology to send a genuine distress call while under attack, you invoked the Compact's protection." The artifact, Ilara realized. It wasn't just a communication device. It was a key, the Ursan warrior rumbled, its voice deep and resonant. "One that has not been turned in over 10,000 years." Enthal gestured toward the viewport, where the gathered fleet glimmered against the backdrop of space. "What you see before you is the combined response force of 27 civilizations, all bound by the most sacred pact in known space. The Krelax knew of this pact, yet they chose to attack your station anyway." "Why?" Webb asked. "Why would they risk so much to destroy one research outpost?" "Fear," the luminous being answered simply. "Fear of what you might become. The Krelax detected your possession of precursor technology," Enthal explained. "They believe that if left unchecked, humanity might too quickly advance and eventually challenge their territorial ambitions. They sought to eliminate the threat before it could fully emerge. Instead, the mechanical being added, they have guaranteed humanity a place in galactic affairs far sooner than any had anticipated." Ilara's mind reeled with the implications. What happens now? Enthal's scales shimmered with what might have been amusement. "Now, Captain Chen, we help you rebuild your station. We exchange ambassadors. We begin the process of integrating humanity into the greater galactic community. And your people learn that the universe is far larger, far older, and far more complex than you ever imagined. And far less lonely," added the luminous being. As Captain Chen looked out at the assembled fleet, thousands of ships from dozens of civilizations that had crossed vast gulfs of space in response to a single desperate call for help, she felt something she hadn't experienced since the attack began: hope. "On behalf of humanity," she said, her voice clear and strong, "we are grateful for your assistance and honored by your presence. We have much to learn, but we're eager to begin." The Ursan warrior thumped its chest in approval. "The young ones show proper spirit. Perhaps they will make worthy allies after all." And so began humanity's first official steps into a vast, ancient galactic community, not through careful exploration or cautious diplomacy, but through a desperate SOS that had awakened slumbering powers and ancient pacts, forever changing Earth's place in the cosmic order. All because one captain, facing impossible odds, chose to use a mysterious artifact in humanity's darkest hour. The galaxy would never be the same again. Neither would humanity.